Hiker Homily number 8 for the week of February 19th. We're moving right along with the old week, and let me tell you about what's going on around here. Weather is weird, and I'm not talking about in like a rainy thing. In the Central Valley, California, about this time of year, this should be kind of our rainy season or getting to the end of the rainy season. Unfortunately, we haven't had much rain, and if we don't get much, we're going to be right back in our drought conditions that we were in for several years before. Last year we had a bit of a break. We had a lot of rain down here in the valley and a bunch of snow up in the Sierras, and that really did help for a year. But now all of a sudden this year the snow in the Sierras is kind of flimsy, and we've had hardly any rain, at least here in the Central Valley. And so we're looking at drought conditions again. And along with that, it's being brought, I'm looking outside, just kind of odd stuff. The last week or so, the daytimes have been kind of pretty looking, really nice looking, and they've been in the high 50s, low 60s, which is kind of chilly. But I mean, especially if you live up in the frozen north, that's nothing. That's great weather and stuff like that. But it's been kind of nice, clear and stuff like that. And then the nighttime will get us down to around freezing, just like that. We'll drop 30 degrees by nighttime. Which makes it hard to just say, oh, the heck with it, we're not going to have a real rainy season and stuff like that. Winter's over, let's call it spring, because in the daytime it kind of looks like spring. It's pretty, and some of our plants are already starting to, my trees and stuff, the roses, they're starting to shoot and getting ready to bloom and things like that. And yet, I really can't do the planting yet and things like that because we're not done with frost season. We get down to below freezing at night, and you wake up in the morning, everything is frozen and frosted over. I don't know. But as far as hiking goes, that shouldn't get in my way, because in the daytime, it's still been nice. It's a little chilly in the mornings and stuff, so when I get out there in the morning. So I'll be getting some stuff in, and I'm doing a little bit of urban hikes, and we're going to talk about urban hikes later. That's our hiker topic for this week. But other than that, it's kind of weird here in the Central Valley, California. I mean, we're not getting hit with heavy, cold temperatures like I know you do up north. And we're definitely not hitting the spring already like some of the folks down south already are. We're just kind of here in the middle, and it's just kind of weird. Usually by now, this is still our rainy season. Where it's winter, but it's not usually cold. But we're getting more rain than this, and just it hasn't been that way. So there we go. Hiker Homily number 8 for February 19th. Off we go. Well, several times for Hiker Homily, I've given several ways to contact me, and I always welcome feedback. I welcome questions and comments. Even if the comments do not agree with me or not, that's fine. Again, if it's in kind of a respectful manner, or just a general opinion without it, you're so stupid for thinking that, here's what I think. That's not necessarily, but it's just like, yeah, you said this and I don't quite agree with it, and here's why. That's okay, and stuff like that. But I always, go for feedback, comments, questions, things like that. And I got a few comments this coming up here. So here we go. The first one is from Kirk Miller, and this was in regards to, I believe, if I'm remembering right, Hiker Homily number 6, where I talked about food in your camp and the issues with animals, going beyond bears and things like that. Why you shouldn't keep it in your tent, and there's various reasons that go beyond things that affect just you, that it could affect other people. And my basic thing at the end was, is there anything wrong with at least taking precautions? Does it really cost you that much and things like that? Well, Kirk Miller says it makes perfect sense to take precautions. And I agree, Kirk. That was kind of, yeah. That was the point I was trying to get across. I, of course, did it by rambling, because that's me. That's what I do. But really, it doesn't, whether you want to carry a bear vault or not to keep your food in, because a lot of places do not require it, well, then don't if it's not required. That's okay. I was more talking, like I said, on the whole thing about you don't want to let any animals, whether it's raccoons, mice, bears, you name the little critter that wants to get in there and get to your food, you don't want them to start associating tent with food. because then they'll start chewing through these things to get to food and things like that. And then it's not just you, because that's always the comeback is, well, if they chew through my tent, that's my fault. I'll take the thing. Okay, but that's the thing is these animals work on instinct. And if they start seeing tents and realize the last couple of those I got into had food in them, so I'm going to break into this one, it's not just you anymore. Other people are getting their gear damaged because you have helped the animals figure out tents equal food. So why do it? Because it doesn't cost you anything to sling a bag over a tree and hang it, or keep it in a bear vault away from your tent. Just not put it in your tent. So, Kirk Miller, thank you. Makes perfect sense to take precautions. I agree, and that's really all my whole rant was about. There's nothing wrong with taking precautions, and be careful and be considerate of others. You know, make your trip as comfortable as you can and not have holes in your gear from animals that have chewed their way through to get to the food and bothered you at night and stuff like that. What does it cost you? Nothing. As far as convenience goes and things like that. Come on. And one other comment I got was from Nepalese Nomad, and this is in regards to my hike report on Pine Mountain. And Nepalese Nomad says, looks like a nice trail. Thanks for sharing. And you know what? You are welcome. That's one of the reasons why I do the hike reports is for folks who might not be able to get to these areas. You can kind of see a little blurb on what they look like and stuff like that. It's kind of enjoyable doing those trails and sharing them with other folks out there. And also, you never know, for some people it might be, and I've picked up a few myself watching other YouTubers. It might be that, hey, wow, I've always wondered about this area. That looks pretty cool. Now I want to hike it. And, you know, and you can start making plans. And so that's why I do the hike reports. I am glad you enjoyed that one, Nepalese Nomad. And that's about the feedback that I'm going to go over. Kirk Miller, you gave me another comment in regards to my gear review on the Pioneer Bear Camp water bladder. Thank you for that comment. It is a pretty cool product. I enjoyed it, and I'm going to be using it on most of my my day hikes and things like that. So thanks so much for the comments. Anyone else out there, again, questions, comments, whether they're compliments or your own opinion on a certain topic I cover, feel free to contact me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. That's the email. Or you can leave comments in any of the videos below, and it will give me a notice that there's a comment there, and I'll take a look at it. Or you can directly contact me on Instagram, leave a comment there, and on Facebook, all under Hiking for Health CA. On all of those venues, contact me, leave comments, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And any questions, any topics you want to see me cover in a hiker homily, because I cover, you know, a topic a week or something like that, something I haven't touched on, or maybe if I touched on something already and you wanted to go in a different direction, or think maybe I missed something, let me know. Talk to me about it. Send me some feedback. But thank you so much for the comments I have gotten. I appreciate that. And I see the likes and I see the little hearts and stuff on Instagram. I really appreciate that kind of feedback too. So thank you so much. Our hiker topic for the week is urban hiking. What the heck is urban hiking? Well, it's something that I kind of want to touch on because there is a certain amount of folks out there, and I've seen a few online in some of the backpacking forums that I'm on venues like Facebook and other types of social media, Instagram and stuff, and I occasionally will see the comment of, oh, I wish I could do more hiking, but I'm stuck in such and such city, and things like that. Well, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm kind of lucky. Living where I do in the Central Valley, within an hour circle of me, there are coastal foothills, the East Bay foothills that I can get into with a lot of hiking trails. There's the Sierra foothills within an hour, hour and a half with a lot of hiking trails. Right here in the valley, there are some actual hiking trails that I can get to. You know, some of them within 20 minutes, like Cosumnes River Preserve and things like that. Some of them a little further out. And so I'll admit that I'm 100% lucky, but I do live in a city. I live in the city of Stockton, California. And so for a lot of my training hiking, just to get miles in, keep my legs in tone, trying to lose weight, all those kinds of things, I cannot always, especially being a dad and things like that, I have responsibilities. Retired or not, I have things to do. I do. I have you know, a house to upkeep. making sure my son gets to school and things like that. There's all kinds of stuff that I do in my schedule and stuff like that. I can't just every day drop my son off at school and then drive for an hour and go hiking and then come home and hang out. I can't always do that. But what I can do a lot of the time is drive for 5 or 10 minutes to do some kind of urban hike. And so what's an urban hike? An urban hike is just kind of what the title says. It's kind of a hike or a walk you go on in more of an urban area. And if you are fortunate enough to have a city that lends itself to things like that, and I am fortunate to have that, then you can get those kinds of things in. And I'm one of those ones where if you're going to train for something, you should be training as if you were going to be, doing the actual thing. So on a lot of the hikes I go to, some of the levee roads that are in this area, and there are other things. There are several rivers that go through the city of Stockton, and they have built levees up around these rivers that keep them from when they rise, they don't flood the actual city. So we've built these levees up. And fortunately, the city of Stockton, on many of these levees, have put bicycling paths and walking paths, pedestrian paths, on top of them, on many of them. And so there are many miles, several miles, worth of pedestrian paths on these rivers and on these levee tops to walk on. They're along the Calaveras River. They go right past and through the campus of University of the Pacific. They go along Bear Creek, which is right near my house. They go out sometimes, and I've done reports on it. They go out along the sloughs and out to the marinas and back and things. And so they are walks and hikes that I can go on where I am not going out in any kind of a wilderness or anything like that. In fact, part of the time when I'm walking on these, on one side of the levee, I've got, houses and suburbia and stuff like that. On the other side, you've got, whatever river it is or slough that's there. But that comes with a certain amount of interest as well. The urban hike is kind of neat. Like I say, you train for what you're going to be doing. So I don't need to carry my full backpack because I'm not going out more than 5-6 miles when I do this, and I don't have to carry so much water that I need a backpack. I don't need food. I could probably get through the hike just fine and then get some water back at the truck when I get back to it and things like that. But again, I train for when I'm there. I want to be used to walking with my backpack. Does my backpack work? Right. Is it going to rub me in certain areas? Where you're going to find out on urban hikes like this and things. And then it just gives people a chance to get out there. I can't, like I said, get out to all these other places, these regional parks and things, because most of them are, 45 minutes to an hour away. So I can't do that every day to get the exercise in. But I can usually most days get out there and get an urban walk in or an urban hike. So I am lucky to be able to do that. And if you live in an area that has that, I suggest you take advantage of it. You don't have to always get out into the woods to do a hike or out into, the outlying countries and stuff like that to do a hike. You can do hikes in a city and just get those miles in and things like that. So that way when you do get a chance to get out there and stuff, you've got yourself in tone. Your muscles are ready for stuff like that. You've got most of your periphery gear tied in. You've got it zeroed in. Your backpack should be set to this, and this is how tight I want it to make it comfortable. It's not going to rub this way and this and that, and I can get to a water bottle, or my hydration bladder works, and you're able to do that and get all that stuff dialed in before you get out there on a trail. Because and I've done that before. You get some new equipment and stuff like that, and then the first time you're using it, you're actually out there, and there's no brakes. You don't get to just like, this isn't going to work for me, and this is going to cause a problem, and I'm only 2 miles from the truck, so I'm going to go back and blah, blah. It's no big deal. If the hydration bladder I was trying didn't work very well, I wasn't in any danger. I was doing it at a little regional park that was nearby. I was only going to do like a 4-miler, and so if I didn't get any water out of it, I'm going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen. I'm not going to dehydrate in that short amount of time. I'll get back to the truck where I had a bottle of water. I'll get some water. Fortunately, it worked great. I really enjoyed it. but I was able to test it out there doing kind of an urban hike, and out there on the levees, it was one of the first places I tested. It was, how to get this working type of thing. So that's an urban hike, is you're in an urban area, but you're able to get out there and enjoy things. And on some of my urban hikes, I have to admit, I've really enjoyed some cool stuff. I've actually seen some interesting wildlife. Out on White Slough, there's been a couple of times where I've seen a sea lion out there who has come, because if you don't know, the California Delta is connected to San Francisco Bay, and that obviously connects out to the ocean and things. So we do get the occasional ocean wildlife that will come up into the delta and stuff. We get the salmon who spawn, of course. They come through there and all the way up to the mountain streams and things like that. But we do get the occasional sea lion who will come all the way from San Francisco Bay and up here into the delta to do some fishing. When they know the salmon are running up these rivers and stuff like that, they'll follow them up here to try and get them, because especially in those smaller sloughs and stuff, there's less room for those salmon to maneuver and get away, and sea lions know it can be a little easier pickings. So they come up there. I've seen otters, river otters, all kinds of bird life, snowy egrets, gray herons, blue herons, all kinds of things like that. A lot of cool stuff to see, even on an urban hike. So, that's my thing, is don't let being in a city stop you from getting yourself into a hiking mode and doing things. Urban hikes are a thing, and while I've been talking, I've been flashing up, different little walks, things like when I've walked on the Calaveras pedestrian path, White Slough, Bear Creek. There's all kinds of little ones in my area that I can get to. 5 to 10 minute drive, plenty of places to park safely and things like that. Then you get up on this path and you go. It's pretty cool. And like I say, I think it's a big thing, and it's definitely helped me with the weight loss I'm working on, because it helps me get that cardiovascular exercise going and things like that. And it helps, that way when I actually am hitting the real trails and things like that, it has, helped me get my legs in tone. Now, I'll 100% admit, where I live in the Central Valley of California, the one thing the urban trails are lacking are any kind of real elevation change workouts. I don't get those. In order to get those, I have to go to the foothills, which are, an hour out there and things like that. And they're just, there's nothing I can do about that, because I live in a big flat valley. It's great for agriculture and fantastic for some of the other things. And as far as just a good training walk just to get miles in, they're fantastic. But if you want to work out in elevation changes, going up hills and things like that and down hills, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of that. But there are still ways to do that in a city. And I take cues from some of the athletes in the area. I know, like my son's cross-country team, when they want to work on hills and stuff like that, they will find an overpass over one of these rivers, and they'll work on doing that. And some of the pedestrian paths do have those, so you do a little hill climbing there. And of course, a lot of the big things they'll do is they'll go to their high school stadium or one of the local stadiums in the area, and they'll do the stairs up and down. And that is a good, elevation thing. So even if you don't have elevation areas that you can train with going up and down hills, there are ways to still do that. And if you absolutely have no paths whatsoever, but you have the means and ability to join a gym, there is always that option. I personally prefer not to do that, but if you can get to a gym and do the treadmill thing, hey, you're still getting some exercise in. And, bring yourself a little player, or on your phone you could watch somebody hike the PCT or some kind of thing like that, and so you can watch them go down the trail while you're training something. Just get out there, not be sedentary. That's the big thing. Walking is really amazing as far as helping with all kinds of different things. It helps get you in tone. If you're not into running, you don't have to run. You can just walk all over the place. My father dropped like 100 pounds. He was given an ultimatum by his doctor at a certain point in his life that you need to, you're pushing possible diabetes, and you're looking at this, you're looking at that issue, you've got high blood pressure, all kinds of things, and all these things can be mitigated, and you can, be around for your family longer if you drop the weight, and the doctor estimated he was about 100 pounds overweight. And that's what my dad did. Every night he started taking an evening walk, and he'd be gone for probably about an hour and a half. So, you know, he'd do probably somewhere around 3 or 4 miles every day, and he lived in the town of Pleasanton, so he'd just kind of go out and walk from the house around and down one of the main roads to a sports park where he'd sit and watch, you know, some little league games or a soccer game or something like that, and then he'd walk all the way back, and he would do that pretty much daily, and next thing you know, he's lost the weight and he was doing really well. You know, he started, and he did that in conjunction with watching what he ate and being careful about his diet and stuff like that. It was a good combination, but the exercise in combination with, you know, watching his portion sizes and things like that, he was able to lose the weight. And so far, I've been trying to do the same thing, and I've, done 30, 35 pounds doing basically that, where I'm watching what I'm eating. I'm still able to enjoy things like when we have family gatherings and they have pizza. I can still have a couple of slices of pizza. When they have a nice little dessert at a party, I can still have a dessert and things like that. I can do it. I just don't completely, pig out on it. I don't have a whole bunch of pizza. I don't have a giant slice of cake or pie. I have a smaller one. I don't have a whole pizza. I have a couple of slices. And then, every day to every other day, depending on how my schedule goes, I get out and I do a minimum of 3 to 4 miles. And what do you know? The weight is coming off, and I feel better. I'm not sedentary, things like that. So it can be done. Just enjoy those urban hikes. Don't let being in an urban area, the suburbs or a city, stop you from getting out there and getting yourself prepped. That way, when you finally do have the time and the ability to get out there, your body isn't completely like, what the heck is going on? There's no way I'm going to take you a mile or two into the woods, type of thing, when you finally get out there in the woods. When you finally get out there, you're able to go out there into the woods and really enjoy it and not worry about, are my legs going to hold out on me? Am I going to be able to handle walking any kind of a distance? Because you already know it. You have walked the distance. Yep, this time it's a little bit uphill and things like that, but it can be done. So there you go, urban hiking. It can be enjoyed. Take that advice. I hope you do. For those of you who occasionally I see come online and, I wish I had places to go, but I live in such and such, and it's, they usually name some kind of a city with suburbs and stuff, and most cities have at least some parks and stuff like that. Now I get in some cities, especially coming from a city like Stockton, I'm really sorry to bag on Stockton, but sometimes the truth has to be told. Stockton isn't the 100% most safe city. There are certain parks in the city I would not set foot in. No way. But then there are other areas of the city that, like, a lot of the levee trails that I go on, the pedestrian paths that they put on next to the rivers and stuff like that, I don't feel unsafe at all. There's always runners and bicyclists and other walkers out there and very pleasant people and things like that. So I get that you have to watch out where you go, so kind of know your area and things like that, but don't let just being in a city be the thing that completely wipes you out and nope, you're just not gonna do it at all, because it can be done. Urban hiking, give it a try. Well, that's Hiker Homily number 8 for February 19th, the week of February 19th. And I hope you liked it. I hope you get some information from it. That's something that helps you. And other than that, my gosh, I'm going to try and get out there for a little walk today. And other than that, other things coming up. I've already said that I've got the big thing the real big thing that's coming up next will be, and I've set a date for it, March 3rd, the day after my birthday. March 3rd, I will be taking a birthday hike with some friends. I'm going to be going from Sunol Wilderness East Bay Regional Park. We're going to walk about 8 to 8.5 miles up over the East Bay Mountains of Sunol, all the way into the town of Fremont, the city of Fremont, I should say, with a place called Fremont Peak right on the eastern edge of the city of Fremont. So that should be a lot of fun. It's supposed to be a great hike, and I'm hoping, even if we only get a little bit of rain, most of our foothills now, especially over in the East Bay, are nice and, for the most part, green, because we've got some rain in that area and stuff like that. So it should be nice out there. The California kind of golden hills, when they get dry, they can still be beautiful when they're that color and stuff, but when they're all green, it's pretty amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be the next real big thing coming up, and that's only in a couple of weeks. And then Other hikes that I've got going on with the local hiking club I'm a member of, and then stuff on my own will be coming up in the months of April and May, and probably a couple more in March, aside from the big one I've got planned. But then the summertime, we're definitely looking at the Lost Coast Trail. Permits are already there. I'm in on that one, definitely going. And then I'm hoping for the end of the summer to early fall doing the Tahoe Rim Trail, and that will be quite an adventure. That'll be the longest backpack trip I have ever done, especially, looks like I'm going to be doing it solo, especially solo. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes. That's going to be my first technical through hike. But we're going to see how that works out. But definitely Lost Coast Trail, 100%. Like I say, permits are already all in line. I'm there for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what's coming up. And other than that, we will see you next week.